They say if you hear footsteps on the roof at night, if you see eyes glowing from the trees, it's already too late, because Miko doesn't knock. This is the story of the scrape at midnight. There are stories that stay with you, not because you heard them in the dark or because someone told them by candlelight, but because you felt the weight of the truth behind every word. This is one of those stories. It was told to me by my nephew, and later confirmed by a girl who lived in the same house after him. The house where he once walked the roof, where Miko once came out to hunt. I remember the first time my nephew told me about the thing he saw. He had been living alone back then, just a young man trying to make ends meet in a quiet part of town. One of those semi-rural places where the trees grow too thick and the wind carries whispers instead of gusts. He didn't believe in legends, not really. Not until the nights grew louder. It started with noises on the roof. Scratches at first, like raccoons or stray cats, but heavier, faster. Then there were shadows. Silhouettes perched in the tree just outside his window, unmoving but watching. He would glance up at night from brushing his teeth and see a figure leering between the branches, crouched like an animal but shaped like a man with elongated arms, his eyes like embers in the dark. My nephew tried to shake it off, blaming stress or maybe just tricks of the moonlight, until he heard it run. He swore on his life that one night he heard it sprint across the roof with the speed of something far too wild for this world. It wasn't just footsteps, it was claws, nails against tiles, and when he stepped outside the next morning, he found the edge of the roof dented, as if something had leapt off it. He moved out not long after. Years passed, the house sat empty for a while, as if the earth itself was warning others to stay away. But eventually, another family moved in, a couple and their teenage daughter. They didn't know the house's history, not yet. The parents took the larger room, and the daughter, whose name was Marisol, took the smaller one down the hall. The only problem with her room, according to her, was that the door lock was broken. So every night she pushed a heavy piece of metal, like part of an old gate, against the door to keep it shut. It became her ritual, a makeshift shield against the unknown. That was her first mistake. Marisol told me this next part herself, and I swear to you, her voice still shakes when she remembers that night. It was around 2 in the morning. She had gotten up to use the bathroom, which meant stepping into the hallway and passing the window that looked out into the patio. The house was quiet, no wind, no crickets, just the creaking of her footsteps and the distant hum of night, until she heard it. Footsteps, fast, wild, scrambling across the patio. At first, she thought it might be a stray dog, but these weren't four-legged steps. These were quick, erratic, heavy steps, like someone with long arms dragging their limbs as they ran. She didn't look, she didn't want to look. Marisol rushed through her business and ran back to her room. Her hands trembled as she pushed the heavy metal gate back in place and leaned it against the door. Then she crawled into bed, her heart racing, her breath short, and wrapped the blanket tightly around her. Sleep didn't come easy, but it did come, until the sound woke her up. It wasn't a knock, it wasn't a tap, it was scraping. Slow, deliberate, like nails sliding across metal, like claws dragging across the barrier she had placed to keep whatever it was out. At first, half asleep, she thought she was dreaming, but the sound came again, sharper this time. The metallic barrier she had placed was moving, being pushed from the other side. Marisol froze, her breath caught in her throat. Then came the whispering, not in her ear, but just outside the door. Low, garbled, almost chant-like. A language she didn't understand, but somehow felt. It pulsed in her ears like a sickness, a presence. It was him, Miko. The witch monkey, the cursed creature of the woods, said to be a twisted spirit, part man, part beast, that hunted at night and preyed on fear. No one knew where he came from, only that once he found you, he tried to drag your soul through the shadows. Marisol couldn't scream, couldn't move. She reached for her phone, her fingers stiff with terror, and whispered into it as she called her parents. Mama, Papa, he's trying to get in. El Mico is at the door. On the other end of the house, her parents woke in terror, and then her father yelled. He yelled her name, he yelled prayers. He screamed curses at the thing behind the door. Her mother joined in, shouting for it to leave them alone, to get out, to go back where it came from. And just like that, the noise stopped. There were no more chants, no more scrapes, no more movement, just silence. Minutes passed like hours. Marisol didn't move, not until her phone buzzed again, her father telling her to run, that the hallway was clear. She didn't wait, she threw the barrier aside and bolted, barefoot and crying, into her parents' room, where she spent the rest of the night curled up between them, too afraid to blink, let alone sleep. They didn't stay long after that. A few more nights of unease, of whispers, of shadows in the trees, and they left. To this day, that house stands, empty again. Locals cross the street when they walk by. Children dare each other to peek inside. But no one stays long, especially not at night. They say that if you listen closely, you can still hear something moving on the roof, or see red eyes blinking from the trees. But whatever you do, never leave your door unlocked, because El Mico waits for the night, and he never truly leaves.